Morning sunlight poured through the windows of a white suburban house in Connecticut, casting a gentle glow on Jennifer in her pharmacy uniform. As she adjusted her hair in front of the mirror, she felt a quiet stirring that another fulfilling day was about to begin. After a decade as a pharmacist, she found profound satisfaction in her work, knowing she was supporting the health of her community. "Good morning, beautiful," a voice called from the kitchen. Her husband, Kevin, an engineer at a local construction company, had made it his daily ritual to brew coffee for her. 3 years into their marriage, their relationship had blossomed from the passionate fervor of early days into a stable affection built on deep trust and mutual understanding. "Thank you, honey," Jennifer replied, descending into the kitchen and accepting the warm coffee cup. "Mom might call today. We couldn't meet last Sunday." Kevin nodded, adding sugar to his own coffee. "Your parents seemed well when we saw them last time." Jennifer's parents, Robert and Dorothy, were a quintessential middle-class couple who had raised their daughters with abundant love. They cherished their monthly family dinners, and Jennifer always found comfort in the serene atmosphere of their home. "Yes, Dad's been quite engrossed with his gardening, and Mom seems absorbed in her book club," Jennifer smiled. "Amy has been spending more time with them lately, too." Her younger sister, Amy, had drifted between various jobs since college and was currently living back home with their parents. While nothing was overtly wrong, Amy seemed to struggle with finding her direction. The sisters maintained a cordial relationship, not exceptionally close, but caring for each other as typical siblings do. Upon returning from work, Jennifer found joy in gardening in the backyard with Kevin. With spring's embrace, the flowers they had planted together were beginning to bloom exquisitely. Kevin meticulously tended to the roses, speaking of future plans. "Next year, I'd like to remodel this house's kitchen," he said, brushing dirt from his hands. "A kitchen with a larger counter where you can truly enjoy cooking." "That sounds wonderful," Jennifer replied, watering the tulips. "And by then," she asked, smiling a little shyly, "maybe we'll have a small addition to our family." Kevin's face instantly brightened. From the start of their marriage, both had eagerly anticipated having children. While no concrete plans were yet in place, they shared a hopeful expectation of becoming parents. One weekend evening, Jennifer visited her parents' home. Amy joined them, and the family of 4 gathered around Dorothy's comforting home cooking. The conversation flowed pleasantly, with Robert animatedly discussing his new pottery class and Dorothy sharing insights from her neighborhood book club. "Jennifer seems as busy as ever," Dorothy observed, studying her daughter's face. "But you look happy, and that's what matters most." "Kevin is such a wonderful husband," Jennifer smiled. "Every day feels fulfilling, and I truly feel blessed." Amy quietly continued eating, occasionally nodding to her sister's story, no particular emotion visible in her expression as she naturally participated in the family conversation. That night, Jennifer and Kevin reflected on their day while watching a movie in their living room. The fireplace cast a warm glow, and they felt utterly comfortable in each other's presence, snuggled under a blanket. "It was another good day," Kevin murmured, holding his wife's hand. "Yes, it really was," Jennifer agreed, resting her head on his shoulder. "Everyone in our family is healthy. We have stable jobs, and we love each other. What more could we ask for?" Outside the window, the quiet residential neighborhood stretched out into the night. Streetlights softly illuminated the roads, and the faint bark of a distant dog could be heard. It was a serene tableau of a typical American middle-class family's happy evening, seemingly without a care in the world. Jennifer realized how profoundly blessed they were: a loving husband, an understanding family, meaningful work. While life occasionally brought challenges, their days were fundamentally smooth and joyous. Tomorrow, she would return to the pharmacy, looking forward to another evening spent with her husband. In the second week of May, Jennifer's cell phone rang during a busy afternoon at the pharmacy. It was her mother, Dorothy, her voice brimming with unusual excitement. "Jennifer, I have a wonderful idea." Dorothy's voice was animated. "Why don't we all go hiking as a family? Your father and I have been feeling a bit out of shape lately, and we'd love to spend a day in beautiful nature." "That's a lovely idea, Mom," Jennifer replied, checking prescriptions. I think Kevin would be delighted too. When were you thinking? How about next Saturday? The weather forecast predicts perfectly sunny skies. Amy is completely on board and has already started researching locations. That evening, Jennifer shared her mother's proposal with Kevin. Her husband looked up from his newspaper, a smile spreading across his face. That's a wonderful idea. We've been cooped up indoors a lot lately, so exercising and breathing fresh air sounds perfect. Kevin rose and pulled a hiking guidebook from the bookshelf. Where are you planning to go? Amy is researching it for us. She'll give us the details tomorrow. The next evening, Amy called, her voice unusually vibrant with energetic enthusiasm as she began outlining the detailed plans. I found a trail course at Mount Tom State Park. It's an intermediate route that takes about 3 hours round trip, with a beautiful waterfall and an observation deck along the way. Amy's voice carried an excitement Jennifer hadn't heard in a long time. The view from the observation deck is supposed to be spectacular. You can see the entire Connecticut River basin. Jennifer was somewhat taken aback by her sister's proactive attitude. Amy was typically passive about family gatherings and rarely offered suggestions. Thank you for researching it so thoroughly. We're truly looking forward to it. Amy's tone softened slightly. I'll prepare lunch, too, so don't worry. I'll make everyone's favorite sandwiches. Over the weekend, Jennifer and Kevin headed to an outdoor equipment store. They purchased hiking boots and lightweight backpacks, along with water bottles and a first aid kit. The middle-aged female clerk, who appeared to be an experienced hiker herself, offered them careful advice. Mount Tom State Park is a beautiful place, the clerk smiled. The view from the observation deck is especially wonderful. But please be very careful near the cliffs. Cliffs? Jennifer asked with a touch of concern. The observation deck is perched atop rocky cliffs. There are safety barriers, but you still need to be cautious. Still, the scenery really is breathtakingly beautiful. After returning home, Jennifer called her parents. Robert answered, but his voice had an unusually tired quality. Dad, are you okay? Are you feeling unwell? No, I'm fine, Robert cleared his throat. I just haven't been sleeping well for a few days. But I'm really looking forward to the hiking trip. Then Dorothy took the phone. Her mother's voice also seemed a bit more subdued than usual. Are you tired too, Mom? Not at all, Dorothy quickly denied it. Amy has been making plans, and we've been helping with preparations. I'm just happy we'll have time to spend together as a family after so long. After hanging up, Jennifer told Kevin about her parents' demeanor. Dad and Mom have seemed a bit strange lately. They sound tired and lack their usual energy. Kevin looked up from his newspaper, a thoughtful expression on his face. It might be age-related, but perhaps they have some worries. Worries? I don't know, but lately I've had a strange feeling about something, too, Kevin spoke, choosing his words carefully. The other day when I was talking with your mother, she started to say something about us, then stopped mid-sentence. Jennifer frowned. What kind of conversation? I don't remember the details, but she seemed like she wanted to say something about our future. But your father quickly changed the subject. On Wednesday night, Amy visited the couple's house alone. This was highly unusual. Typically, her sister would call ahead or only visit during family gatherings. I need to talk to you about something, Amy said, sitting in the living room, appearing somewhat nervous. What is it? Jennifer sat next to her sister. It's about the hiking trip. I want to change the course. Amy clasped her hands together. I'd like to make the route a bit more challenging and spend more time at the observation deck. Kevin returned from the kitchen and joined the conversation. What kind of change? I want to take a slight detour to the observation deck, going through a route with better scenery. Amy spread out a map. That way, we can all spend more special time together as a family. Jennifer studied the map. The new route indeed seemed to offer better views, but it also looked somewhat more difficult. Won't it be a bit too strenuous for Mom and Dad? It'll be fine, Amy stated definitively. They're both healthy, and if we walk slowly, there won't be any problems. Besides, the time at the observation deck is the main purpose of this trip. That night, after Amy left, Jennifer spoke with Kevin. Don't you think my sister was acting a bit strange? Kevin thought silently. She was certainly more proactive than usual. but maybe she's just really looking forward to spending time with the family. Maybe so, but I've felt uneasy lately, Jennifer admitted. I feel like the whole family's atmosphere has somehow changed. How so? I can't quite put my finger on it, but it feels like everyone is keeping a bit of distance from us. Jennifer gazed out the window. Maybe it's just my imagination. Saturday morning, the sky was a cloudless, brilliant blue. Jennifer woke early, filled her water bottle with cold water, and applied sunscreen, eagerly anticipating the family hiking trip. Kevin was also preparing the car with brisk movements, both of them excited for the long-awaited time with family. At precisely 9 o'clock, they arrived at her parents' house. Robert and Dorothy waited at the front door, dressed in hiking gear. However, Jennifer immediately sensed a subtle tension in her parents' expressions. Instead of their usual warm smiles, there was an artificial, almost unnatural brightness. "Good morning, Dad." "Mom," Jennifer greeted, kissing her parents. "What beautiful weather." "Yes, it's a perfect day," Dorothy replied, though a slight tremor ran through her voice. Amy appeared from the back door, carrying a large backpack and a detailed map. In her eyes, Jennifer detected a fierce determination she had never seen before. "Is everyone ready?" Amy's voice was bright, yet somehow mechanical. "Today is going to be a special day." The five of them headed to Mount Tom State Park in 2 cars. Jennifer and Kevin led, followed by her parents and Amy. During the drive, Kevin chatted about the scenery, but Jennifer occasionally glanced at the car behind them in her rearview mirror. She could see her sister speaking intently about something from the driver's seat. Upon arriving at the park's parking lot, Amy immediately unfolded the map and began explaining the route. "First, we'll walk along a gentle forest path, and after about an hour, we'll reach a small waterfall." She traced the path with her finger. "We'll rest there briefly, then head to the observation deck." The path to the observation deck is a bit steep, but the view from the top is supposed to be truly wonderful. The hike began. The first hour was indeed a beautiful forest trail. Fresh green leaves gently filtered the sunlight, and birds chirped pleasantly. Robert and Dorothy initially exclaimed at the beauty of nature, but gradually grew quiet. When they reached the small waterfall, the family sat in a circle and ate the sandwiches Amy had prepared. However, the conversation was unnaturally awkward, far from their usual warm family atmosphere. Jennifer tried to initiate conversations several times, but everyone's responses were cold, and she began to feel increasingly anxious. "Just a little more to the observation deck," Amy announced, standing up and shouldering her backpack. "The final climb is a bit steep, but let's do our best." The path to the observation deck was indeed steep. The trail, winding between rocks, was sometimes slippery, and Jennifer worried about her parents' safety. However, both Robert and Dorothy climbed with surprisingly careful and sure footing, almost as if they had walked this path before. "Dad, Mom, are you okay?" Jennifer called out breathlessly. "Don't worry," Robert answered without looking back. "We're almost there." 30 minutes later, they finally reached the observation deck. The view from its edge, perched atop the cliff, was breathtakingly beautiful. The Connecticut River meandered through the landscape, and distant mountains appeared hazy. However, Jennifer focused more on the inherent danger of the location than on the picturesque scenery. While the observation deck's edge was indeed surrounded by safety barriers, the cliff's height was considerable. "What a wonderful view," Jennifer said as she approached the barrier. "But this place really is high." Kevin stood beside her and looked down. "Quite a height. If someone fell." He trailed off, swallowing his words. At that moment, Jennifer noticed something chilling. The other 3 family members were lined up directly behind her and Kevin. Moreover, their expressions were completely different from their usual selves. Amy's eyes held a cold determination, and her parents' faces had hardened like stone. "Amy, Dad, Mom." Jennifer turned around, her voice laced with confusion. "What's wrong?" There was no response. Instead, Amy stepped forward. "Jennifer," Amy's voice was ice cold. "There's something I've wanted to say for a long time." "What?" "If you were gone, everything would work out perfectly." In that terrifying moment, Jennifer understood. But by the time the realization dawned, it was too late. Amy pushed her back hard with both hands, while Robert and Dorothy simultaneously rushed toward Kevin. Jennifer. Kevin's cry echoed across the cliff. The two of them went over the safety barrier and tumbled down the rocky cliff. Jennifer hit her back violently against a rock partway down, almost losing her breath. Kevin also struck his head on a large rock, and blood flowed freely. The two landed on a narrow rocky ledge partway down the cliff, unable to move. From above, they could hear their families' voices. "Let's check," came Amy's cold voice, "whether they're definitely dead." Jennifer was dazed from the pain, but she heard Kevin whisper in her ear, "Don't move." Her husband's voice was shaking but clear. "Keep pretending to be dead. Hold your breath." Jennifer followed his instructions, stopping all movement. The pain was intense, but she somehow managed to minimize her breathing. They heard footsteps from above, and pebbles fell down. They knew their family was peering over the cliff. "They're not moving," Amy's satisfied voice carried on the wind. Is this really what we should have done?" Dorothy's trembling voice was barely audible. "Mom, have you forgotten what we discussed?" Amy's voice was harsh. "This was the only way for you to become parents to me alone." After a moment of silence, the footsteps moved away. Jennifer and Kevin remained motionless until complete silence returned. 10 minutes, 20 minutes, then 30 minutes passed. "I think it's okay now," Kevin finally spoke, his voice still low. "But keep your voice down." Jennifer sat up, trembling. Her whole body ached, with particularly severe pain in her back and shoulders. Blood flowed from Kevin's forehead, but fortunately, his consciousness was clear. "Kevin," Jennifer's voice became tearful. Why did our family try to?" "I'll explain," Kevin said, supporting her. "But first, we need to escape from here. And there's a truth you need to know." On the rocky ledge, Jennifer looked at Kevin's injured face. She gently wiped the blood flowing from her husband's forehead with her shirt sleeve. Her head wasn't working clearly from pain and confusion. But one thing was certain. Kevin knew something. "Tell me," Jennifer said in a trembling voice. "What do you know?" Kevin took a deep breath and began speaking while enduring the pain. "For 3 months, I've been observing Amy's abnormal behavior," he spoke in a small voice. "At first, I thought it was just her being a good daughter." Jennifer frowned. She had no idea that Amy had been visiting their parents so frequently. "One day when I came home early from work, I happened to overhear Amy talking on the phone with your mother." Kevin's voice became even quieter. "She had parked her car in front of our house and was making the call." "What were they talking about?" "Amy was crying and saying, 'Because Jennifer exists, I've become invisible. If I were an only child, Dad and Mom would love only me.'" Kevin continued. Jennifer gasped. She had never imagined her sister felt that way. "But that's not all," Kevin continued. "When your mother said, 'But Jennifer is our precious daughter, too,' Amy became furious. She screamed, 'Precious daughter? Jennifer has left us and built her own life. If she were gone, our parents could focus only on me. I'm the daughter who truly needs our parents.'" Jennifer covered her mouth with her hand, gradually beginning to grasp the sinister meaning of her sister's words. "What did Mom answer then?" "At first, she was opposed, but Amy seemed to repeat the same conversation daily. 'I saw your father and mother looking exhausted several times. And recently, their attitude began to change. They started subtly keeping distance from you. Conversations became shorter, and they lost their previous warmth.'" Kevin tried to sit up, enduring the pain. "Amy was mentally cornering your parents and brainwashing them. Then why didn't you tell me?" Jennifer asked tremblingly. "I didn't want to worry you. Besides, I never thought it would really come to this." Kevin showed a regretful expression. "I underestimated the situation. I never imagined Amy was such a calculating and dangerous person." At that moment, stones fell from above. The two held their breath and listened carefully. They could hear footsteps. "They're back," Kevin whispered. From above the cliff, Amy's voice could be heard. "Let's check whether they're really dead." "Amy, let's stop this," came Dorothy's weak voice. "What if they're still alive?" "There's no way they're alive." Amy's voice was ruthless. "But we need to check just in case. Dad, do you have rope?" Jennifer and Kevin looked at each other. If the family came down the cliff, there was nowhere to hide. Jennifer, Kevin whispered with determination. We have to escape. Let's move sideways along this ledge and find another path. The two began carefully moving along the rocky ledge. Their bodies ached, but survival instinct prevailed. Fortunately, the ledge was wider than expected and continued along the cliff face. After moving for about 10 minutes, they found a safer slope. Kevin descended first, supporting Jennifer as they carefully made their way down. Cell phone? Jennifer asked. Kevin checked his pocket. Got it. But the signal is weak. A few minutes later, they finally got a signal. Kevin called 911 with shaking hands. 30 minutes later, the distant wail of police sirens pierced the air. Jennifer and Kevin were slowly making their way toward the park's parking lot. Their bodies ached, but they were able to walk. Upon their arrival, police officers had already surrounded Robert, Dorothy, and Amy. The three wore bewildered expressions, and Amy was desperately trying to talk her way out of it. Officer, this is a misunderstanding. We're looking for my brother-in-law and sister-in-law. They went missing during the hike. Then Jennifer and Kevin appeared. Silence descended upon the parking lot. Amy's face turned ashen, and her parents looked utterly stunned. Jennifer. Amy's voice trembled. You're alive? How? One of the police officers stepped forward. Are you the victims? Yes, Jennifer answered tearfully. We were pushed off a cliff by our family. Dorothy almost collapsed. Jennifer, I'm so sorry. What have we done? Robert also stammered in a trembling voice. Amy said. What Amy was saying was, Dad, Mom, be quiet. Amy suddenly shrieked. Don't say anything. As the police officer handcuffed Amy, he stated, You're under arrest for attempted murder. Dorothy and Robert were also handcuffed as accomplices. They looked at their daughters, tears streaming down their faces. Jennifer, forgive us, Dorothy pleaded through her sobs. We were brainwashed. Amy said the same thing every day. Every day. Be quiet. Amy glared at her mother. Everything was supposed to go according to plan. An ambulance arrived, and Jennifer and Kevin were transported to the hospital. Fortunately, neither had sustained serious injuries, only bruises and mild concussions. In the hospital bed, Jennifer gripped Kevin's hand tightly. We survived, she whispered. Yes, Kevin smiled gently. And the truth has come to light. Your family wasn't really family. True family consists of people who love and protect each other. Jennifer nodded, tears still flowing. 6 months later, the final verdict was handed down in the Connecticut District Court. Jennifer and Kevin sat in the front row of the gallery, gripping each other's hands tightly. Their physical wounds had completely healed, but their emotional wounds were still slowly mending. The judge read the verdict in a solemn voice. For defendant Amy Lawrence, for the crime of attempted murder, I sentence you to 15 years in prison. Additionally, based on the results of psychiatric evaluation, I order mandatory psychiatric treatment at a treatment facility. Amy sat expressionlessly at the defendant's table. After 6 months of detention and psychiatric evaluation, she had been diagnosed with antisocial personality disorder. According to the doctor's testimony, Amy's prospects for recovery were extremely low, and social reintegration would be difficult. For defendants Robert Lawrence and Dorothy Lawrence, for the crime of aiding attempted murder, I sentence each to 5 years in prison, suspended for 3 years. However, you are required to perform 2 years of community service and attend psychiatric counseling. Jennifer felt a complex mix of emotions hearing her parents' sentence. There was anger, of course, but also a deep sadness. The psychiatric evaluation had proven that her parents' judgment had been severely impaired by long-term psychological manipulation. Dorothy, in particular, had her reality perception significantly damaged by her daughter's skillful brainwashing. As they left the courtroom, Dorothy walked toward Jennifer. The woman who had once been a loving mother was now devastated by profound regret and despair. Jennifer, Dorothy's voice was hoarse with emotion. I want you to know that you are still my real daughter, and I still love you. Jennifer looked at her mother, but didn't respond. She couldn't yet forgive, but she was also tired of continuing to hate. Mom, Jennifer finally spoke. I can no longer think of you as family, but I hope you'll find peace of mind someday. Dorothy nodded through tears and left the courtroom with Robert. Their figures looked entirely different from the dignified parents they once were. They had been completely isolated from the community and abandoned by friends and relatives. That evening, Jennifer and Kevin sat quietly in their backyard. The flowers they had planted 6 months ago were blooming beautifully, radiating new vitality. "It's really over today," Jennifer murmured, resting her head on her husband's shoulder. "Yes, legally," Kevin gently stroked his wife's hair. "But our new life has already begun." During these 6 months, the two had pondered deeply the meaning of true family. They had learned painfully that blood relations don't automatically guarantee love or loyalty. Instead, they understood that chosen relationships, bonds based on mutual respect and trust, were what created real family. "Michael and Sarah are coming to the wedding next month, aren't they?" Jennifer smiled. Michael and Sarah were close friends who had supported Jennifer and Kevin during this difficult time. Though not blood-related, they loved and protected the two like true siblings. Additionally, pharmacy colleagues and neighbors had provided warm, unwavering support. "We're truly blessed," Kevin said. "Surrounded by our chosen family," Jennifer nodded. "Family not bound by blood. People who cherish each other and support one another in difficult times. This is what real family is." Beyond the garden, they could hear Mrs. Johnson playing with her grandchildren next door. It was the comforting sound of ordinary but peaceful daily life. "I've been thinking about the future," Jennifer said quietly. "When we become parents, I want to teach our children what real love is like. That you don't have to obey unconditionally just because you're blood-related." "That's a wonderful thought," Kevin embraced his wife. "Our children will be raised with love and respect." As night deepened, the two looked up at the starry sky. The pain of the past wouldn't disappear entirely, but hope for the future was definitely sprouting. Released from the curse of blood ties, the two had begun walking a new life based on true love and trust. They understood from the bottom of their hearts that chosen family, bound by the strongest bonds, was the truest family of all.